candy? Want candy now?
What's going on, everybody? Nazarachi coming back again with another episode of Relic Review. Now, a new event is upon us. It is the Final Fantasy VIII Master of Fate event. It is going to be primarily focused around Laguna. As well, in the Relic banners, you're going to see a lot of love for Selphie with a new USB that's quite good. As well, Squall gets an amazing new second Burst Soul Break. You'll see some stuff for Irvin and Adia. As well, in the second banner, the highlight for me would be Relics for Fujin, but her stuff will be back around, so no use stressing over it right now. I know a lot of supplies might be drained or stressed after all these half-price banners they've been throwing at us. And as well expect another half-price Black Magic banner for Nightmare, and White Magic also. So keep in mind, you're still going to have a lot of those resources you're going to have to deal with. As well, soon in the future, we're looking at a half-price BSB only banner, then Extreme Fest, Cloud's USB banner. So all these things need to be taken into consideration when you plan your use of your resources. Now, along with the new event, we do also have our 8120 Conquest Raid Dungeon vs. Cerberus. It should not be too difficult. Really, you just need to focus on bringing a Dispel to get rid of his main aggressive buff that he places on himself. As well, Protect Shell he uses sometimes. So with that Dispel, and as well some magic breaks and mitigation for magic damage, you should be able to sail right through that event with no problems whatsoever. And with that covered, let's go ahead and check out the new Relic banner that we're getting for the Final Fantasy VIII characters here. Now, I again am making my Relic review a little bit too early here, so I don't have any type of data mine percent information for the Relics dropping, but you can again safely assume that you're looking at about 0.5 to 1% for OSBs and USBs, about 0.8 to 1.5% for most BSBs, and then 1.5 to 2.5, sometimes upwards of 3% for Super Soul Breaks. And the same generally goes for unique soul breaks as well. So with that in mind, our first item here is the Fairy Tale. It is Nunchaku for Selphie. I guess it qualifies as a rod, but that I don't understand that really, but whatever. Moving on. 77 attack, 130 magic, 167 mind, no bonus effects, and you have the slots full cure. So instantly restore a large amount of HP to all allies, grant them last stand, and major regen. So this is actually quite similar to Yuna's USB, with two main differences between the two soul breaks. For Yuna, you're losing the re-raise or the raise ability, and as well you're losing the haste Ega. Now those are two really unique qualities that make Yuna's USB so very powerful, and what prevents it from making you sometimes have to force close and restart your gameplay. But with that being said, this ability, losing the haste and the raise, gains the instant heal and major regen. So it still retains the last stand, one of the more useful features about Yuna's USB, and it gains an instant heal, which is super useful. So this one, I'm going to say, is definitely a contender for some of the top spots in terms of healing USBs. I personally still like Yuna's a little bit better because it does add that versatility to the gameplay with not necessarily having to call it quits as soon as a character dies. But with that being said, this one is extremely useful here, and this could be a very good potential reason to draw on this banner. Instant heals, always useful. Combine that with the last stand, and you have good success rate there. As well, the regen may come in a bind and prevent you from dying in last stand. So typically one of the major problems with last stand is if you're sapped, poisoned, something similar to that, and you engage last stand, because your character has, 100 or less health, you stand a great chance of just dying immediately again. So with the major regen on there is a chance you could get lucky, timing could proc, and if you are sapped or something like that, it might increase your chance of survival a little bit. Kind of a niche effect, not one of the more important ones on the Relic, but still, this is a very good USB right here. Selfie as well has some other fairly useful relics, so she's a pretty good versatile character for healing support. And next up we have, hands down, the most popular item on the banner, the one that most people are talking about in terms of awesome new relics. It does introduce a new mechanic in the game, so we're going to cover that here in 1 second. Just checking it out here. It is a gun blade or sword. You have 137 attack, no other stats, no bonus effects, and the burst soul break is the steely blade. 8 physical ice non-elemental attacks to one target, temporarily infuse the user with the power of ice, grant haste burst mode to the user. This will go great on any type of ice themed team. If you're going into a dungeon knowingly bringing ice to do maximum damage, this will fit in great. On entry, nothing new or unique about this soul break, but it provides you the very important an element ice, and 8 physical and non-elemental attacks are really good as well. So for an ice situation, this is a good entry effect there. Now the burst abilities are where the new mechanics come into play that they've just introduced in the game. Your burst command 1, draw injunction, 2 physical ice non-elemental attacks to one target. If the user has burst mode, raise their junction level by 1 up to a max of 3. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to enhance the features on the second burst command. Very similarly, we've seen bargains and things on burst command 2 that influence burst command 1, so they're doing a little flip-flop here. Very similar to a monk style ability where you're gaining charges, but it's actually functioning as Spellblade. So it is quite new and unique, pretty cool. A lot of people really want this, and it will stack very nicely with Cloud's USB. And this is why the second burst command, 4 to 7 physical ice non-elemental attacks to one target. The number, power, and critical chance of the attacks depends on the user's junction level. So stacking burst command 1 up to 3 times is going to vastly increase your stats and your damage output on the second burst command. And looking into the future, one reason why so many people have eyes on this is because Cloud's USB will allow breaking of the damage cap on regular attacks or burst commands, for example. So doing these potential 7 physical ice non-elemental attacks while you're in elemented ice, and the critical strike chance being boosted by stacks on this as well, with Cloud's USB, makes this a potential nightmarishly good relic here in terms of its burst commands and the options you have for damage dealing. Really powerful. Probably the main reason why you'd want to draw on this banner, besides maybe some healing synergy or some of the other nifty relics on here. But this one right here, it's amazing. I like Squall. He's not one of my favorite characters, but man, I would really like to draw that relic for sure, no doubt about it. Next up here, we have Beetlejuice, a gun for Irvin, 122 attack, no other stats, no bonus effects besides the fact it's a ranged weapon, and your burst soul break, flame shot, 5 ranged physical fire non-elemental attacks to all targets, temporarily lower their attack and defense a large amount, and haste burst mode to the user. So you have a attack and defense large amount break, so on entry you will have a great buff for a physical meta team here. This is something that will not really benefit a mage team really at all, but again, in a physical situation and as well fire, this can be quite useful and a good break to have on your side. Now your burst commands here, Blade Snipe, range physical damage to one target and temporarily lower its attack and resistance a small amount, and Mage Snipe, range physical damage to one target and temporarily lower its magic and defense a small amount. So the burst commands are quite interesting. The way they've staggered them here really makes it so you kind of need to use both of them no matter what situation you're in. If you're in a physical dungeon, lowering its attack is what's going to help you out. Resistance is going to help if you have a mage party, but the entry effect is for a physical party. So that's why this is an interesting burst setup here with these commands. The second one, again, is going to help lowering defense for a physical party, and the first one will help if you're versus a magic enemy. So honestly, if you're bringing a mage party, really this is probably not the best soul break to bring for that, but If you're bringing a physical party, you're going to have to engage both burst commands. They only do one attack, but it is range, so don't expect a whole lot of DPS out of this. It is really a hard support item that favors a physical team build. So, Urban, pretty cool cowboy character. It's an interesting burst soul break, but I would honestly be hoping for Squall's one on this banner and maybe not Urban so much. Next up, we have another relic for Selfie here. Again, Chokku, but they're calling it a rod. 55 attack, 100 magic, 128 mind, and no bonus effects. Burst Soul Break, Strange Vision, 4 white magic, holy attacks to all targets with a chance to instantly KO them. Not very useful. Temporarily raise the magic and mind of all allies a moderate amount, and grant haste burst mode to the user. This is a buff that's going to be great for a mage-based team, and it's going to benefit your healer as well. So, not going to do too much for physical users, and the instant KO's not super useful, but the entry effect, again, mage team, reasonably good entry effect for synergy and for getting these burst commands going here. So you have Prayer for Home, restore a very large amount of HP to one ally, grant them major regen. Moonstone, 2 white magic holy attacks to one target and dispel it. These burst commands do have use, but not a whole lot. The dispel here is great in situations where you need dispel. It will prevent you from having to actually bring that effect and free up an ability slot in dungeons like that. The 2 white magic holy effects do have their niche usefulness when they're going to be useful and not useful. And the heal right here, the regen, if you have her USB, you're going to be able to get from that, as well as the instant heal. So it's good for a healing effect, but overall, this is really not that great of a BSB. Again, Squall's BSB is definitely like leaps and bounds the standout burst soul break on this banner here. Next up, we have a Super Soul Break for Idea, a robe, 17 magic, 87 defense, 133 resistance, and no bonus effects. You have the Time Crush, 5 magic dark attacks to one target, and temporarily lower its dark resistance. This actually will stack quite nicely if you're able to cast it before her Burst Soul Break, because it is Dark and Ice on her Burst Soul Break. As well, it will just increase the damage output that she's going to be doing in general with her Burst command also. Not a bad lead-in effect. Idea can use the Witch ability, the sudden, either Thunder or Ice, to help her generate Soul Break more quickly. So if you have maybe those abilities and Battleforged or a Striker on her, then you will be able to maybe generate enough Soul Break for this to be a viable strategy. Otherwise, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to want to lead with her Burst Soul Break. But this does have desirable effects on it. Really, the value is in the lowering its Dark Resistance to stack with Memento Mori, potentially then into her Burst Soul Break. So again, it complements Idea's playstyle quite nicely, and you get the mastery points. I honestly wouldn't mind having that to complement my Idea. Next up, we have Rajan's Pauldron, armor, light armor specifically for Rajan. 17 attack, 113, 113, so pretty standard. Bonus effect, small boost to lightning damage. That's actually quite useful. And his Super Soul Break aura, remove the delay from all actions on allies for 1 turn and grant them last stand and major regen. Another source of last stand for Final Fantasy VIII if perhaps you don't end up getting Selfie's USB. So the major regen, not super useful, but we talked about how that can help you overcome sap, so it does have its niche functionality. And the delay reduction, I've now noticed how amazing of a functionality you get from that from Rams's USB. So that definitely is not an amazing effect, but you can combo that and make it end up quite useful in your favor, since your whole team will be able to do something instantly that can definitely help you out and help you turn the tides of battle, maybe if you're kind of in a crappy situation. This is actually a reasonably good Super Soul Break. The effects on it are quite useful, unless perhaps you already have Selfie's USB, then there's not really a reason to cast that over top of Selfie's USB. Next up here, another gun for Irvin. We have the Exeter. No bonus effects on it and 117 attack. Super Soul Break, Hyper Sniper, 6 ranged physical attacks to all targets, and temporarily lower their attack, magic, defense, resistance, and mind a moderate amount. This is another Super Soul Break, Penta Break, very similar to Barrett's, and one that I just reviewed on the Final Fantasy IV event, I believe, for Sid, if I'm not mistaken anyway. Pretty standard Penta Break, Super Soul Break. Unfortunately, it's only physical, so you're not going to be able to amp up its damage with any elemental effects, but you do have the ranged on it also, and to all targets, so no chance for you to miss and not break something. So again, pretty good breaking effect. Pentabreaks stack with everything in the game break-wise, so they are very, very, very useful. And we have a Crystal Glove for Zell here. Fist Weapon, 129 attack, and that's it. No bonus effects. We have the Combat King. 8 instant physical attacks to random targets. Temporarily raise the attack of the user a moderate amount, and the defense resistance a small amount. Unique to Zell. Very greedy Super Soul Break. All of the buffs are targeted at only him. The instant attacks are quite useful, but again, no elemental buffs whatsoever. They are physical only, and it doesn't say ranged either, so you have that going against you as well. This is probably one of the lesser useful Super Soul Breaks on this banner. Again, it is quite greedy. You do have the instant attack, so if you're maybe about to lose and your opponent's about to die, you could use that effect to get you in edgewise, but honestly, you're probably hoping to skip this relic on this banner altogether here. Not a super good one, but again, you will get mastery points on Zell for having it, so still has buffs. It's alright, I guess. Anyways, next up we have the Beast Killer, a whip for Quistis here. 82 attack, 122 magic, no other stats, and no bonus effects, but it is a ranged weapon. A whip that functions as a ranged weapon. It's pretty cool. And you have Cerberus, so the Conquest Raid dungeon, you can summon him to come help you out. Haste to all allies, reduce their offensive magic cast time for 3 turns. So this is a synergy source of Hastega. It will combo nicely with Selfie's USB, so you get the Last Stand. The Hastega makes it one step closer to Yuna's USB. But that aside, it does have its merits for being the Final Fantasy VIII Hastega on this banner. And offensive magic casting time is good, I guess, if you're running a black magic themed party. So maybe if Quistis is on your party as well with Sid Reigns and maybe a couple other characters, you could use this in your favor. Kind of a little bit better than the effect you get on Braska's Summoner's Dream, which is only 2 turn reduction, so you do get 1 extra turn there, and Haste, which is also not on Summoner's Dream. So no magic buff, but stronger on the other 2 effects. Probably I wouldn't want to draw that one as well, but I know some fans of Quistis that would love that one. And again, another banner with no unique soul breaks on it, so that's as well pretty nifty. I really only want the Axis Blade off this entire banner. I'm sure it'll probably swing around again in the future, although I wouldn't mind Adia's Super Soul Break either. But anyways, let's go ahead and just do a 100 gem draw. I am not going to make any significant pulls on this banner right now because, again, I only do want 1 relic and I don't want to tragically try and fish for it and not get it. Oh, Lord. 5. What is it this luck recently? I mean, it's not Squall's BSB, but this is probably one of my only very well-off Final Fantasy VIII characters, so that is actually quite cool. I have her BSB, and I might be able to fit this in somehow. For right now, I'm going to hold off right here. This is amazing luck, really pulling this item for me and having Adia as one of my only Final Fantasy VIII characters. It's really a long shot. So again, I'm going to call it right here. I may make another pull on this banner come the second banner once I have a better idea what's going on. And as well, we find out if we're getting these 2 more nightmare draws. So for now, that's all. I hope you guys have amazing luck as well. As always, do me a favor if you want, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Liking the video helps get me a little bit more exposure, and of course subscribing joins the family. So we want to have as many of y'all come join us in Discord as well. So anyways, in the meantime, I hope you guys do have a great day or evening, I will most likely be streaming some of the new Friday the 13th game that is coming out today for me here in a couple hours. Until next time, this is Nazdarachi wishing you great luck, and I will see you soon. Peace out, y'all. Later.